Hello and welcome back to the Leicester Tigers Women's Fancast. I am Jacob, and this week I'm delighted to be joined by the rugby historian herself, Hattie. Hattie, hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. I there seems to be a running thing at the moment. Last week, I didn't have shower water running in the middle of a heat wave, which was great. So that really affected I'm a very routines-based guy. I don't know if that's obvious. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
that definitely didn't help.
no, no. I not quite the same, but my washing machine is broken. So that's
Oh, that's annoying.
but I live on the same road as my mum, so she's just been getting deliveries.
That's handy.
Mm.
That's handy. Um, yeah, I had to get an Uber to my gym to shower before work. So that was fun. But now I have shower water. However, the disruption to me this week is that I took my bike in to have um something replaced. I don't know, bike stuff. And they were like, "Oh, we can't replace it." And I was like, "Right,
Oh,
okay." And they were like, "Oh, we can give you like 20 quid off." Because I went to like a recycled cycle
yeah.
shop. I'll give you 20 quid off this one. I'm like, it's still £100 for like a second-hand bike. So I bit the bullet and ordered a new one from Halfords, but it's not gonna be here till Friday. So
You're bikeless.
I'm bikeless. Which if anyone who knows York, and I do have a car, but obviously, um, you know, parking it and also driving through York is not great. Um,
No.
I'd much rather have the bike. But there you go. We
Well,
we survive.
you live, you learn. You
Yeah.
laugh sometimes.
Live, laugh, love.
Yeah. Live,
Mm.
laugh, Leicester. Live, laugh, Loughborough.
Live, laugh, Leicester. Live, laugh, Loughborough. Live, laugh, Lightning. Yes. So on this pod, I've got Hattie, who is obviously a Loughborough Lightning season ticket holder, to talk about the final game of the PWR season, which is obviously Leicester Tigers at home at Matthew Woods, Welford Road, versus Loughborough Lightning this Sunday. Obviously, there's some re-signings and Tigers signings to talk through, which I think is very, very interesting. There's also the Quins game to review. It's a good long episode for you guys. Obviously, a reminder about social media. We're still keeping the Twitter going, so that's LTW Fancast. It's also LTW Fancast on Instagram, and you can also find us LTW Fancast on Blue Sky. And if you would like to email, please do so. It is surprisingly ltwfancast@gmail.com. But without further ado, let's go on to the news. So news, yes, lot of Tigers announcements to go through. So there was three re-signings that were covered on last week's pod because they happened after a record. But that's Summer Reeves, Kat Turner, and Mika Gunter all announcing new deals after the recording of last week's episode. Uh, Very, very positive. I think I'm going to go into Kat Turner when I talk about the Quins game in a bit.
I have
Um,
a fun Cat Turner fact for you.
that's amazing. What is your fun Kat Turner fact?
We went to the same uni, played at the same team, not at the same time, but we both
Ah.
went to Uni of Lincoln, played on. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, so I think she is Lincolnshire
She's like
based.
Grimsby, I think.
Grimsby, yeah. Yeah. That's cool. So
Yeah.
you didn't play at the same time, but
We didn't cross over.
right.
We know the same people who've crossed over, but we don't
Yeah.
I don't know her personally, but
Hmm.
she does get a shout out every now and again on the Uni of Lincoln
Nice.
socials. Yeah.
Nice, as you should. Obviously I wanted to speak about her in the Quins game, so pleased for her that she finally got her PWR debut. It's been a sort of a three sort of really horrid injury seasons for her. So absolutely over the moon that she's finally got that chance. And then Summer Reeves, obviously one of our sort of open trial signings from last summer, was part of the City of Oxford sort of Centre of Excellence, I believe, and was on England under 18's radar before injury. Not played a huge amount for Tigers this season, but did feature for Tigers Women's under 23. She's been with Lichfield a bit. Obviously, she's very young, sort of 18, 19, so definitely a long-term project. But yeah, exciting to see her resign. And I was so pleased to see Mika Gunter re-sign. I think she's been superb for Tigers this season. Really underrated, annoyingly as well.
Feel I feel she's your best player. Yeah.
It's I think it's a th I think it's a shootout between her and Emily Henrich. Um,
But I think in terms of how influential she is
mm.
and her mindset, I think she's irreplaceable.
I need to really dig into the stats because I'm keen to do a deeper dive into this, maybe in sort of like a written Substack form, but on Tiger's line out because I do think um, it has been really successful, and just the fact that whenever whenever Tigers get like a not straight thrown call given to them, they always opt for the line out and not the scrum,
Mm.
and that's so rare in rugby, and I find that fascinating. And I think obviously that isn't just Mika, that is Emerson Allen, obviously previously Denny Ross, and all that sort of the line out operators, Morgan Richardson obviously as well. But yeah, obviously Gunter, I think Gunter was sort of the big name signing we made last year, and she's been so awesome, and I'm really
Mm.
glad she's staying.
Yeah.
And she was fantastic again against Quins. So yeah, I think I don't really know what's happening if they're going to do some more re-signings. There are still a couple of big names who they haven't announced. I'm going to try and see if the club are going to do a leavers list before the game on Sunday. Um, but yeah, it'd be interesting to kind of see how that goes. But we do have some signings. So firstly, this was announced yesterday. Apologies if I don't get the pronunciation of this right. But Wallaroos, Australia, number eight, Tua Nakavadra has
I think that's
signed.
right.
Yeah, thank you. Has signed for Tigers ahead of next season. I love this signing. I think this is exactly the kind of player that Leicester need. And
It is a bit mental. Like it's not. No offense, Tigers, but like last year they were like, "It's our big name signing," and I'm like, "Babe, you've kind of scraped the barrel there, haven't you?" Like, yes, it's an international player, but it's no Aleph Kelter. Do you know what I mean? This is big. This is you're talking a player who like Wallaroo of the year.
yeah,
She is absolutely destructive in the loose. She's more of a sort of Jake Conkle Roberts eight in that you're not really going to have to find her in a line out. You're going to find her coming off the back of the line out to carry. But she is big. She is just a huge ball carrier. So yeah, that is absolutely massive. I'll go with the, you can give the bad news about it though.
yeah, I'll go on to that into a second. The first thing as well, which I think will do so well from a club perspective, is that she looks like a Leicester Tigers number eight. Sort of our history with
Old
big
school late.
old school big ball carrying number eights. Even currently in the men's team with someone like Ollie Cracknell, previously Jasper Wiese, more long term thinking sort of Harry Tuolangi, Thomas Waldrum, Dean Richards. I could just name all the Leicester Tigers men's number eights. I'm not going to, but I think the other thing as well is that she looks like a Leicester Tigers number eight, and I think again, if you're wanting to get sort of more men's fans through the door, that is something that's going to be key. Yes, you talked about bad news. So the BBC, Sarah Orchard did a article kind of about the signing of Tua Nakavadra, but it was more about the fact that Rugby Australia were going to send some players to the PWR, and I quote. Rugby Australia said Tua Nakavadra's contract would run to the end of April 2027. She would return to Australia for international tests in the Pacific Four Series, then their Super Rugby W domestic competition. Barring a format change to PWR, which is not going to happen because PWR have already announced their fixture list for next season, this indicates that any Wallaroos would not be available to sides for the final round of PWR matches next season and would miss any playoffs. So, again, the caveat to this is we're only going to have it till April. I don't see this as a massive negative. I think if you look at the impact of sort of Black Ferns players in the PWR this season, Ruhe Demant, Maya Roos,
And also previously when Wallaroos have come over and played. I'm specifically thinking of Harlequins, like Caitlin Leaney. She
Hmm.
had multiple years at Quins, and every single year she would leave in April to go back to Super W. So it's not unusual, and she still was such a huge club player for them. She would just miss a couple of games at the end of the year.
And we saw it with Denny Ross this
Yeah.
season. Obviously, um, I don't know if that was a deal change, but I suspect it was a similar scenario where it was actually no, I'm only here till start of Super Rugby W. So yeah, I don't think it's the end of the world. Um, Obviously, I think Tigers will have a better season next year. Will they be playoff in contention? Probably no, unless we see how other signings sort of materialize. So yeah, I think it is as long as you kind of get the impact that she has brought to the Wallaroos. I think it's a fantastic signing. The other thing I thought on this, which kind of I wanted to sort of make sure I wasn't getting too overexcited, was that I remembered that last year, we signed Easter Savilio, the Samoan international, also from Super Rugby W, and she couldn't come in the end because she suffered a really bad injury.
Mm.
And I'm sort of touching the wooden table that I've got to the next side of me that Tigers don't have that sort of bad luck with injuries again because Sevilla would have really shored up that pack. Maybe not quite the impact that Tuna Kavadra can bring, but yeah, again, I'm sort of like I'm not going to think too much about it until she's landed and is started training at in Leicester. So yeah, but good signing. And then this morning we're recording Tuesday afternoon. Tigers also announced the signing of, I think, Coco Lindelof. I don't know if I've pronounced that right.
Yeah, her last name I believe
Dutch?
is Dutch. She's half Dutch, half French, I think.
Yes. So a French international,
Hmm.
not a current French international.
No, she played last, she was in last year's Women's Six Nations team, 2025, got injured, I believe, in ACL, has been out since, has played a couple of
Hmm.
games for Blognac in Elite On in the last couple of weeks, but she's, yeah, really fresh back from injury. Um, yeah, it'd be really, really interesting to see what she does in the PWR. It is interesting to see the like few French players that have come through. I know Ealing have a French scrum half, I believe, scrum half or
I don't know
back
off the top of
three.
my
I can't
head, but,
remember.
but obviously we have Annika Labouré this season,
Yep.
um, who again was a very sort of smart acquisition. I do wonder if she's been sort of the and if she has any connection to Linda Lauf, and that's how this signing has occurred. Um, but again, I think it's a obviously it's not a current French international, but for the reasons you describe, obviously she did have a very serious injury. Um, but it's Tigers. From my perspective, I want Tigers to focus particularly on the pack and the tight five.
Mm.
You're not gonna do much worse than a French international prop to sort of really shore up that front five. So as long
And you're
as
not, sorry, you're not talking about
well,
somebody who was dropped on form. We're talking about somebody who's dropped because of injury,
yeah,
and coming back through it. And I think coming back as a prop from an ACL injury is pretty massive. Like obviously an ACL injury in for any rugby player, but for a prop when you've got a joint weakness, it's always a concern, really. So yeah, it'll be
mm,
interesting to see how she does. Um, but yeah, it's just going to be good to see a French forward, I think, in the
yes.
PWR to see what happens.
And there may be, I don't know what the French selection policy is for players that are based outside of France in the women's game, but I do wonder if there may be people at the FFR that are thinking like, you know, yes, we do have a big pack, but we're not quite enjoying the physical dominance over the Red Roses that perhaps on paper we should be. Maybe we need to have a couple of players sort of playing in the PWR and um, maybe there's a little bit of that. But what you mentioned about injury, I think, is really interesting because obviously, again, last season Tigers signed South Africa's Amber Shonut, who had a history of significant knee issues and has been out all season with a knee injury. So you hope that it's not going to be the same this time round. It is going to be is going to be a bit different. But yes, two very interesting signings, two good signings, I think, at least on paper. And yeah, very excited. And it was good to see um, other people outside of the Tigers bubble kind of react really positively to Nakavadra's signing, which again I think is positive because we've not Tigers haven't had that for a while. So I think that was
I
good.
think the last time I remember getting excited about a Tiger signing was Bitter last year, and I
Yes.
remember being like, "I'm so excited." I don't necessarily know if she's had the impact I was hoping she would make, um, but she's still a really fun player.
She's still a fantastic player. She's not been given the right tools to succeed. And we don't know if she's staying or not, but hopefully if she is, she can be given the right tools to succeed. I think
But
um
then the right tools to succeed is not being given them is kind of the way of lesser Tigers women at the minute, I feel.
certainly up until this latest statement
Yeah.
of expanded investment into the program.
Yes.
But obviously we'll see how that. I mean, touching on that as well. Obviously, Gocha confirmed to the PWR YouTube channel that they're going to have. I think he said 10 off the top of my head. I think it was 10. Happily to correct that if I'm wrong, but he said 10 full-time staffers now going to be on the Tigers Women program. So again, we're talking about tools for players to succeed. This is something that I think is quite key when it comes to both retention and signings. It's do they have the off-field personnel and off-field resources to make the best out of that team? One of the
Mm.
reasons that the Tigers team, particularly the Tigers team of the 24-25 season, which was really good on paper, wasn't succeeding, was because they had like three coaches and SSC issues and the like. So yeah, I think it has to be if these players with all these potential do reach that potential, they need those
Mm.
resources. So yeah, be interesting to kind of see who kind of still stays and who goes. I think with Bitter, I think it's we haven't seen the best of her. I I don't know if because I know you discussed, didn't you, on the Rugby Treehouse? Like, was she more of an inside centre? I don't really know. She's definitely not a fullback.
No, she's definitely not a fullback. I like her at 10, but it's one of those where she needs the right nine to slot in at 10. I do really like her at 12, but then she works at 12 when she's got Aleph Kelter at 13. Like it's just that like puzzle making of okay, where are you going to slot her in, which is what USA Rugby do, or are you going to build a team around her, which if she's your club 10, presumably you're building a team around her. I don't necessarily think that you've got the best combination around her for her to work at 10. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, she's not a 15.
The other difficulty is that if you move her at centre, you're the position that Tigers have the most depth is arguably centre. You're pushing out one of Georgia Lingham, Emily Henrich currently, and Joanne McCalman. Now, obviously, McCalman is the only one that's confirmed for next season. But if we're sort of sticking with the hypothetical that all those three of those centres are staying with us next season, that's your yes, all of them can play on the wing, but um, only Henrich can play on the is equally good on the wing as she is at centre, in my opinion. I think the other two can play there, but you want them at centre to get the best out of their abilities.
I feel like with Hemrich as well, she plays a completely different game at centre as she does on the wing.
Mm.
When she's on the wing, she is absolutely rapid and she is scoring tries from anywhere. When she's playing in the centre, she plays as a really traditional centre. And yes, she might score a try. Yes, she might. But it's two very different things. Both of them are equally excellent. And to be honest, you kind of want to clone her. So you've got two of them. So you have one on the wing and one in the centre.
Mm.
But that is unfortunately impossible.
Well, you say that her sister is at Dartmouth College, Anne
That's
Henrich,
true.
who
Uh,
was obviously who's on USA's radar.
yep.
So we'll see. I don't know if she's finished at Dartmouth though, but
I did look. I think she put like 2028 was her graduating year. It's quite
Okay,
far out.
so yeah, okay, maybe we're a bit far from. I think Julia called it Baby Henrich.
Yeah.
We're a bit far from Baby Henrich, but
Because I
yeah.
think I looked it up because you and Julia got really excited, and then I was like, guys, it's really far away.
What about a placement year? Placement year, and then go
But
back
then
to Dartmouth.
she wouldn't be eligible for college, I don't think.
I don't know how it works. Like, yeah, it is.
Although they have changed the rules. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know, but maybe more long term, maybe more long
Yeah.
term. Um, but yeah, I think she's a scrum half currently, but with women's rugby and development age positions, I do tend to take that with a pinch of salt. Like I think there's a lot more flexibility than you tend to see in the men's
Just
game on
just
positions.
move her to Wales for like 6 months and she'll become a winger instead of a scrum half. It's our new
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, okay, so that's kind of been talking about some of the signings. As I say, I do hope the club publish a leavers list because obviously this is the last home game and
Mm.
give a chance for supporters to kind of properly congratulate and thank all those players. There wasn't that last year. I know uh, a lot of the players who did leave the club were loose-lipped to supporters. So some supporters did have a reasonable idea as to who was going. Didn't really help the uncertainty, but yeah, it'd be nice, I think, from a club's perspective, if they did do that leavers list at least before the game, just so it's kind of we have a sort of a better idea as to who's staying and who's going. But in terms of who's staying and who's going, I did kind of want to bring up as well these very two interesting leavers lists published by both Loughborough and Bristol
Mhm.
regarding the departure of Welsh and Scottish internationals and how both clubs cited central contracts from the Scottish Rugby Union and the Welsh Rugby Union. Yeah, what's all that about?
So for a so for when central contracts were introduced outside of England, like in the three Celtic nations, the way that Wales did it was like, hey, we're going to pay you now, but there was no league, there was no nothing, so the players just carried on playing in England. Scotland kind of did the same thing. The Scottish central contracts has been ongoing for like over a decade at this point. Sometimes they've got them, sometimes they haven't. But again, they've been able to play wherever they've wanted to. Scotland recently, work up about a year, 2 years ago, introduced development contracts. And with the development contracts, I believe they actually had to play in the PW, not the PWR, in the Celtic Challenge. So they had to stay in Scotland. So that's why the likes of Alex Stewart, for example, hasn't moved down to the PWR. On the flip side, when Ireland introduced theirs, they said you have to play in Ireland. You
Yeah.
can't go play in the PWR. So that means your Aoife Wafers, your Dorothy Walls, your Brittany Hogans, when they've come over, they've rescinded, they've got rid of their contracts. They're now having to work separate jobs. Um, so it is kind of interesting how that's happened, but it has meant that in the Celtic Challenge, which has been a league that's been going for like 3, 4 years now, um, that the Wolfhounds and the Clovers, which are the two Irish sides, have been really, really dominant because they've got the most centrally contracted players. They've got the most professional players. Um, we've seen in the last couple of weeks that the PWR has said that they're open to applications from sides from these three countries. It kind of seems like there might be a Celtic Challenge PWR merger on the horizon, in which case it would make sense overall for the Celtic nations to shore up their sides. And it also makes sense for the Welsh Rugby Union, for the Scottish Rugby Union to actually have control of their players, the players that they're paying.
Yeah.
Especially with Welsh players, you will have centrally contracted players who are contracted to a team in England. They're supposed to be playing in the PWR. Because they're playing in the PWR, they don't have to be released back to the Celtic Challenge, and they basically have no game time outside of internationals. Well,
Mm.
that's pointless. You're also seeing potentially some sort of mismanagement of injuries, or potentially unions seeing a mismanagement, what they believe is a mismanagement of injuries, people coming back too quickly. And obviously, again, they're being paid by the WRU or the SRU rather than the PWR clubs. So
Mm.
I see it from both sides. Having said that, there does seem to be some players who are either have got different contracts, or they're on a different contract cycle, or maybe they've abandoned their central contracts. The likes of Lana Skeldon has re-signed for Bears.
Bristol, yeah.
Yeah, Cecilia Turpolotu has left Gloucester Hartpury, is going to Quins. Hannah Dalla Valle has re-signed for Gloucester Hartpury, and so has Nell Metcalf. Um, Having said that, it, as you said, the leavers list for both of those two clubs, Bristol Bears and Loughborough Lightning, are almost entirely Scottish and Welsh internationals, um, or those on the cusp of it. So like Kendall Wardby was in the Wales Six Nations squads but didn't get capped. From Loughborough Lightning, she's leaving specifically for central contracting reasons. I don't love central contracts. I think there are big issues with them. I think it kind of forces the hand of the union to include those players in their international squads, even when they're not playing very well, and you miss out on players who are in form but aren't centrally contracted. I would much rather Brython and Gwalia, the two Welsh clubs, Edinburgh and Glasgow up in Scotland, actually contracted the players directly. I think that would be a better solution. Um, but I am happy that they are going back, even if it does mean I'm missing out on great players in the PWR.
Yeah, some very interesting points. I think it does look like a PWR and Celtic Challenge merger is possible. When I think when initially it was announced, it was sort of like, oh, I don't think this is going to happen. I mean, it may still not happen, but it's looking like it could. But we're not talking about next season. Like
No,
this is gonna
that would.
take some time.
It's the PWR seems to work on like a 3 year schedule, and I believe that the 3 years will be the end of next season
Uh,
or the end of this season.
It'd have been the end of this season because obviously this is the
Oh
third
yeah,
season. This is the third season of the
the
PWR as the
PWR.
PWR.
Oh yeah,
Um, but it's yeah. The thing I think for me as well is like all these Scottish and Welsh players. It's difficult. It's a hard balance, isn't it? Because obviously the Celtic Challenge is a shorter season, so they're probably going to be playing. But on the flip side,
I,
like if they're going to be in the PWR, they're not guaranteed the game time anyway, with these
this is it.
massive
Like
breaks in play. So it might be better to be for them to be in the Celtic Challenge.
if they're playing in the Celtic Challenge, they've got 10 games.
Yeah,
But it's 10 game season compared to the PWR, which is what 18 rounds, but you're missing rounds because you've got bye weeks because there's an odd number of teams. You've also then got nobody ever plays every single game because you have got limits on how much time you can play anyway. 10 to 14 games is probably what you'd want in a domestic season anyway from most players. So they're missing a few games that could be added. Either, they play a few more derbies, they double up on the derbies. So instead of playing each other twice, you play each other 3, 4 times. I don't know. There there are other things to be added. You've also got warm-up games. I know we had warm-up games last year. So there's things to be added. The season can be extended. We've now got playoffs as well, so that's an extra two
mm,
games if you make those. Um, and it's all played in one big block. You've got two bye weeks, which are just there in case of inclement weather and you need to reschedule the
yeah,
game. Unlike the PWR, where sometimes you've got like a month without a game for Christmas.
yeah,
Uh, so I think it is better in terms of the players I think are guaranteed to have more game time. If I look at Cecilia Turpolotti, for example, even though she is going to Quins, it just sits on the bench for Maud. Sometimes Maud is playing 80 minutes. Cecilia's not getting any game time.
yeah,
Um, that's not great.
yeah.
Uh,
Where she's more likely to be first choice at Quins. Yeah,
she's more likely to be first choice at Quins now, but actually, if she'd gone back to the Celtic Challenge, she would have been starter every week. If I look at Maisie Davis, she's starting every week.
yeah,
Allow Pierce from Gloucester Hartpury, she'd start every week. She does start every week for Gwalior Lightning, whereas she is not making. I think she was on the bench for Gloucester Hartpury this weekend. Obviously, that's due to their injuries, pregnancies, etc. that they've got going on.
Yeah, she had like two, three games, maybe four the most.
Yeah, otherwise she's playing for Hartpury Uni. Like, I think that they're getting more game time, and with like the Celtic Challenge, the actual gameplay itself is evolving. It is growing. It is getting much higher, and the more internationals you have in there, obviously the level's going to go up. Um, so yeah, I am excited. It'll be interesting to see what happens. To see the list come from Gloucester Hartpury
Yeah.
and Sale Sharks. There are
Mm.
obviously going to be teams that are not really going to be affected, like Exeter Chiefs, for example. You know, it's not going to be huge. Ealing Trailfinders will be massive.
Yeah, I mean
There's
they've
quite
got
a few Scots there.
yeah, Rachel Malcolm, Fran McGee, Lisa Thompson, uh, someone else as well, I think.
Got a
Um,
few.
yeah, there's gonna be this yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And I think going back to the P D Bois, who who are Loughborough gonna be replacing these international quality players with? It's not gonna be
This
internationally quality Red Roses, is it?
no, so I've been thinking about this for like overnight. So there has been a big rumor. I don't know if you've seen Jacob that Ellie Kildun is leaving Quinns.
I haven't seen that rumor. No.
So there is a big rumor that Ellie Kildun is leaving Quinns. When
Ah.
you look at who she could go to with salary cap, people have said Sale. Sale do not have the salary cap for Ellie Kildun with the Red Roses, etc. that they've got.
No, they've got three Red Roses now, so
They,
that's
they've already got two.
oh yeah, four. Yeah, they've got the
They've got five now.
yes, but Beckett won't be century contracted.
Oh yes, Becca won't be stage contract. So they've got four. They've also got quite a good backline anyway. Like just because she's
Yeah,
from Yorkshire, I don't think she'll go to Sale Sharks. I don't think that's good enough of a reason.
no.
Um, but when
But
you look at
to be fair to Loughborough, Keith Lee to Loughborough is probably within 2 hours, so Loughborough can say she's gone home.
yeah, like I think when you look at the clubs that definitely have the space, I think it is Leicester and Loughborough.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Um. Wow. Yeah. No, I generally had not seen that she was going to leave Bing Quinn's.
So I think either one of those, like, the only like big surprise from Loughborough is that Bo Westcombe Evans is leaving. I'm assuming she's going back down
Yes.
to Sarries,
That
um,
was yeah.
because she's from the Sarries pathway. She's from St Albans. She went to Loughborough for uni. I'm assuming her contract has ended. We do like a nice long contract at Loughborough. Daisy Hibbert-Jones has just signed a 3-year extension.
Good player.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I would not be surprised if Ellie Kildun ends up at Tigers. That means Tigers have gone big guns, big ho. You've lost your mind. However, I feel like the news would have leaked by now because that is massive. Um,
Yeah, I would be surprised if we had a centrally contracted Red Rose next season.
on the other hand, Ellie Kildun does keep going to Loughborough Lightning games, and so does her brother.
Hmm.
She was there on Sunday. Her brother's there all the time. You can tell it's her brother. They look identical.
Yeah, doesn't her brother play like champ
Yeah, he plays for
rugby?
Amptill, which is
Amptill, yeah, which
down the
is
road from Northampton.
yeah, it's between Northampton Saracens, isn't it? Amptill.
But I believe it comes under Northampton Saints.
Ah, that'd be interesting. I mean, Bo Westcombe Evans is a fantastic player, but I think Kildun is you'd take Kildun, wouldn't you?
Would be massive.
Hmm. That's interesting. That's really interesting. But I mean, on the flip side as well, like, okay, you could sign Ellie Kildun, but then who else are you going to be bringing in to replace all these Scottish and Welsh
We've
century
we-
contracts?
we're miss. It's really taken a hit at our props,
Hmm.
which we do have a lot of depth at prop. It must be said, we've got a lot of very young English qualified props coming through who just are not getting game time because we've got Scottish props, we've got Scottish front rowers.
Yeah.
Um, so obviously we're playing them. So it is going to be, like Church United has been playing a lot for Buckingham. um,
Formerly of Leicester.
for, formerly of Leicester. She's been playing up for Buckingham rather than playing for Loughborough. Um, got Grace Clifford. Like we've got quite a number of players who really should be playing PWR level, at least coming off the bench PWR level, to get that game time in, and they're just kind of wasting away. Um, we are keeping our Americans, which is good to see.
Mm.
It'll be interesting to see if we sign any Canadians now that Nathan Smith has done his little Canadian jaunt. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, I'm
I,
really
I,
interested to see our signings.
I guess with Loughborough, like you do have a extremely well established pathway to Loughborough University,
This
which
is
will
like we're never. I never feel like we're going to be one of those sides that goes, oh shit, we don't have a scrum half, because there is always going to be somebody. Like we've got a very like we've got Loughborough Uni, we can call somebody up. Is it ideal? No. Um, we're also quite well connected. That's how we get like short-term contracts like Paige Stathopoulos, who came over like a really short notice to play hooker. Um, we've got those connections which some clubs don't have. Like I remember
yeah.
when Wasps a couple of years ago had to go, we can't play a front row this weekend, so it's uncontested scrums. Like we
Mm.
don't, we would never have that because of the pathway that we've got. Um, however, there is a very large jump between Bucks and the PWR.
Yeah, it's still a big jump.
And we do also have Buckingham now as well, in the champ. So again, but
Still a
that's
big jump.
it's still a big jump, and there is a big difference between Buckingham for Loughborough and OA Saints for Saris
Yes. Yes.
or Cheltenham for Gloucester. Like there's still these big jumps. Like the champ is a huge variety of players. So yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Um, yeah, a lot of stuff to kind of talk about there and ponder. We will now quickly jump over to the Quinn's review. So, Leicester Tigers women were back in the PWR after the PWR's international break for Pac 4 and the Six Nations. And the result was obviously a convincing victory in the end for Quins. Um, really interesting that it was the scoreline was basically a copy and paste of the last time we played Quins, which was um, they scored the game. They scored a lot to be keep quite comfortable. However, Tigers got a try scoring bonus point. Um, so the scorelines are similar. I don't actually think the game was similar because in that last game, Tigers started really well, kind of shocked Quins a little bit, were in the lead, and then conceded some soft scores, and then sort of did get the try scoring bonus point later in the game. I think this was quite different. I think in this one, obviously Quins raced to a lead, and then Tigers did really well to kind of rein that momentum in, made sure the scoreline wasn't ridiculous, and then put Quins under a lot of pressure and got a try scoring bonus point out of this. So yeah, it was a weird game, a very sluggish start by Tigers, which I think they'll be very frustrated with, because there is sort of there's probably a train of thought which does go, if they'd have just been a bit on it in that 15 minutes, actually it would have been a more even game. Because I think from 20 minutes, I think it was actually very even, and a very interesting game as well. Some of the battles in the line out were very interesting. Yeah, what's your sort of take on the game?
I think the interesting thing about Quins, especially this season, is that they have got a really, if you look at their team sheet, you're like, this is superstars.
Mm.
However, they can't actually seem to put together a team performance.
Which is very Quins. That's like
It's very,
that's Quins men as well. Like it's
yeah, like you're talking, they've got some of the best players in the world playing for them, and they just, but sometimes it's rugby. Um, quite often it's not. Um, I think against Tigers, I feel like people do get a little bit complacent. And I think
mm.
potentially that's where that, the gains that they made came from. Um,
They're definitely. I think when Tuima left the pitch, they seem to really switch off after that. and then Tigers really upped the ante.
I think
Um,
she's going to be such a huge, because obviously she is leaving the club as
mm,
well. That's going to be massive for them because she is such a key player. It'll be interesting to see where she's going,
yeah,
actually.
because I don't think she's retiring. That doesn't seem to be
No.
the suggestion. So it'd be interesting to kind of see if she stays. I wonder if she just
Mm,
might go to like Ealing or something, just like stay in London. Um,
yeah. You
but
do like you do like a Fijian at Tigers.
oh, if Lagi Tuima signed for Tigers, that'd be great.
I think that'd be
Um,
massive. But she
Ri-
could also go down to the Fijian Drua as well.
she
Like
could,
there's like plenty of places she could go.
yeah. But obviously is she Russ Tuima's brother? Sister, sorry. Is she siblings? Are they cousins or are they siblings? They're definitely related, I know that, but um, because I wonder if there's like a family
They're only
connection.
27.
Lagi Tuima's only 27.
Yeah.
I thought she was like 30.
Russ
I thought she was like 34.
Russ is her brother.
Yeah, they are siblings, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously he's going to Newcastle.
Hmm.
Um, just because they're siblings doesn't mean they have to be, it doesn't mean she has to obviously stay in the country. You know, but yeah, I think she'd be fantastic at Tigers. I think particularly with Jenny Maxwell retiring, you'd be very reliant on Tess Fury to have sort of that experienced head in the back line. Um, so obviously we'll see how other sort of re-signings and signings go, but I think it'd be great if she
I
signed
think
for
she's a
Tigers.
I think she's a good one for you to watch out for.
Mm. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, sort of back to I think the one of the things that happened in the first 10, 15 minutes, um, the kick chase from Tigers was brilliant. I think particularly Powell had a lot of joy in that opening 20 minutes. And then like suddenly Tigers were sort of under the sticks. Very sort of running theme from this season. But I think they did really, really well to kind of rein that in. Um, they'll be frustrated with the chances they gave to Quins. But yeah, I think like speaking from sort of like the positives and stuff, like I think all four of Tigers' tries were really well taken. We spoke about Mika Gunter. Um, like Quins did kind of start to get into the line out, but I think Tigers did really well to kind of keep that relatively okay. And that meant we sort of got the rolling maul as well, which is great. Um, yeah, I think obviously we were quite short in the second row. Denny Ross has left. Heath and Tarlan are injured. So that meant we sort of had to bring draft back in Rowan Sinclair, who has been playing for the Armed Forces recently, but obviously hasn't played for Tigers for ages. So I think that was definitely a factor. But yeah, Mika Gunter was awesome. Some fantastic turnovers. I think once the team started getting a few of those turnovers, that really sort of stifled Quinn's momentum. Um, and yeah, a great try for Zara Pickwick as well. That was really really good. And I was really impressed with Pickwick. Like she's still 18, I think, or maybe only just 19. Like she's young. Uh, and that was, I think, from someone so young, I think that was a very commanding performance.
Mm.
Box kicks are really, really good. Service of ball was really, really good. Um, and yeah, was like what a moment scoring your first try on your first start for the club. We spoke obviously about Jenny Maxwell leaving is going to be a loss experience wise, but I think Tigers are good.
Mm.
Obviously, Labouré is confirmed for next season. We don't know about Lucy Weaver, but if Tigers can keep that three, I think that's a really strong set of scrum half options. So yeah, really, really impressed with Pickwick.
Mm. I think, yeah, as you said, it's keeping those players and making sure that their development is in line, um, and getting a few key players in that scrum, and I think that will change a lot.
Mm. Yeah, the scrum was okay. I think Quinns did have the upper hand, but it wasn't like
I think it's not necessarily your front row; it's like the heft in your second and back row.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's. I think you could argue it's a bit of both.
Mm,
Um, I sometimes I'm not sure about the technique that Tigers go with, but you know, I I only scrummed to like I played for the University of York seconds once, and that is quite low level at uni
mm,
rugby, or at least it was then 4 years ago. So I can't, I'm not speaking from experience of high level sort of scrum coaching, but yeah, I think it's like a mix of all three. I think it's technique,
mm.
um, front row, and yeah, particularly the heft coming through the back as well, which Tuanaka Vardra will help with, I'm sure. Um, so yeah, um, I think it'll just be frustrating that opening 20 was so they just let Quins get to that lead because I generally do think if they'd even if they just had scored like two fewer tries, um, they could have actually really pressured Quins because yeah, it was great that we got the try scoring bonus point. We actually like butchered two or three opportunities in that second half as well. So
I think the
yeah,
difficulty at the moment with Leicester is that when they play really, really well in the first half, there's obviously a bollocking going on in the at half time, and they
mm,
tend to then whoever they're playing really, really pulls away in the second half, because nobody wants to be the team that loses to
is
Tigers after however long.
mm,
Um, Not to rub it in, but
yeah,
as a
yeah,
Wales fan, I can say it. Um,
yeah. You've been on both sides of the coin.
yeah. Nobody wants to be that team. Um, so I feel like they are better off playing with more intensity in the second half in playing their better rugby in the second. But then the problem is, like you said, you're then chasing a scoreline and you're then chasing as long as, a team can put 30 on you in the first half, you're always a bit screwed.
But yeah, I do. But yeah, we were talking earlier about sort of Kat Turner. Shout out to Kat Turner finally making a PWR debut, a Tigers women's original. She appeared off the bench for Tigers in the champ final at Alliance Stadium, Twickenham, in 2023. She appeared for Tigers, I think, in the PWR Cup the next season, then got a really horrible injury, has then took her a really long time to recover from said injury, so she went to Lichfield for a bit, and then played in the PWR Cup this year. Then got injured again. So yeah, three seasons of injury torrid run. She finally gets her debut. A little bit of white line fever when she got held up over the line, but yeah, just so fantastic to kind of see her back out there and. Yeah, I think it's great to see that she's committed again to another year. So we've got at least one Tigers women's original
Mm.
here for next season, which is fantastic. Hopefully we can get a few more in as well. Um, but yeah, that
How
was
many have you got left?
so. I actually do have a spreadsheet. So last season we had Morgan Richardson. Sorry, this season, the season that's ending, we've got Morgan Richardson, Kat Turner, Charlotte Daly, and Zoe Evans. That are all I would class the Tigers women's original that have like
Mm.
stayed in every season. This year we also had LMA Faraday return. She was in Tigers in the champ, but then went away, then came back, has since now left again. So yeah, we had I would count four.
Mm.
So yeah, not too bad. And then we've had one confirmed for next season. Um, but yeah, I was gonna say I because I that spreadsheet that you did for the Six Nations, I heavily modified it to
My insane spreadsheet. Yeah.
yes. Hattie's insane spreadsheet has, and I'll edit this so like on Instagram you can kind of see it. I don't know how to do it on Zoom at the moment, but yeah, I've sort of tracked the comings and goings from the 2024-25 this season and next season. So obviously filling that in as people get announced. But yeah,
It's
I have a
very interesting to
mm,
see like the changes.
yeah. Like obviously last season a lot of changes. Um, this season, I think we've had at least 14 re-signings. That's already more than last year. So yeah, it's interesting to track. And yeah, Colour Code, who is like a Tigers Women original, who is a Pathway product. So obviously, we've got like a Pathway now. So yeah, it's interesting to track.
Mm.
But yeah, with Quins, I think um, yeah, obviously we'll talk about it in for the Loughborough preview. Um, but yeah, I think it's interesting. I think you say that. Obviously, yeah, no team. I think particularly with how Tigers have been this season, I think no team wants to be the team that sort of slip up to Tigers. So yeah, I just wanted to add something as well. I wanted to give Rosie Gallagher a shout out. I thought she was really good as a summariser.
Mm.
Quite insightful, interesting, and balanced. Sometimes when they have these players on, I get a bit like I can get really super critical and be like they don't want to be there or they're not really adding much.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
gonna say it. Hannah
Gallagher was great.
Bottoman was doing the Bristol Bears one. Commentary is not for her. Love bots, great
Mm,
player, great personality.
yeah,
Commentary, I don't think is her bag.
it's not. I know it's on YouTube, but it's very Bucks standard to kind of have the player on who's injured or is unavailable for them to like take the mick out of their teammates. And literally the only difference is, and I can say this because I've commentated uh, not Bucks Super Rugby, but I've commentated on University Rugby. The only difference is that they won't swear.
Yeah.
That's
But
pretty
then
much the only difference.
you say like a Bucks level commentary. I know Maisie Davis has done Bucks Super Rugby commentary. She's really good at it. Like
Oh,
she's doing it.
that's not me criticizing commentators
Yeah.
who
There's
commentate
a
at University like Rugby. I'm just yeah,
yeah, like there are players who come in who just naturally are very good at it. Some of them are not.
yeah,
Bots is one of them.
yeah.
I don't think it's her bag. I feel like she realized halfway through the game that it wasn't for her. Um, she just got very quiet. Rosie Gallagher, on the other hand, was really good, and I know
Yeah,
Nick Heath said afterwards that like she took kind of critique from him and changed up how she was doing it. So it was, but like I think that's excellent. I think
yeah. I
it's great to see those players who you wouldn't necessarily think are they going to be the next big comp. Like it was great.
I think for Gallagher as well, because she was commentating on a team that she doesn't currently play for, that was so much better.
Yeah, I feel like that was a huge difference, and I feel like actually we maybe need more of that. Like you see it with
Mm,
like Mo Hunt will commentate on games, but obviously she's not commentating on a Gloucester Heart pre-game. Actually, I
yeah,
think that's it is
yeah,
better. I think you can be
yeah,
more objective.
yeah. I've complained about this to the PDBR before. A lot of this boils down to um whether or not they can pay summarizers. Um, and yeah, but aside from that, Gallagher I thought was very very good. And yeah, I'd be interested to know if she did any more sort of punditry gigs whilst she's still in sort of this stage of pregnancy.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting.
Diagnosed with child.
Diagnosed with child. Yeah, and with that we'll end the Harlequins review. So this Sunday, 7th of June at 3:30 at Matty Woods, Welford Road, it is the last game of the season for Leicester Tigers women as they face Loughborough Lightning in the East Mids Derby. So when I wrote some down, I think there was sort of like just under 800, 750 tickets left in the current allocation. So a reminder to the listeners of the free ticket offer for men's season ticket holders that you can claim a free ticket for this game. This is the last game for Tigers Women until the PWR kicks off on the 19th/20th of September. So yeah, it's going to be a while before we see the women's team back out again. Um, yeah, it's. I sort of spoke to you about this game before we hit record. Um, what are your thoughts on this one? Because as I'm sure you can attest to from being a Loughborough fan, they are just an impossible team to predict as to whether they're gonna play really well or play really badly, or yeah, what do you think is what do you think is on the cards potentially?
the the weird thing is we tend to play at whatever level the other team are playing at. So like when we play Gloucester Hartpury, we almost like we say came so close to beating them.
Yes, I forgot about that.
It
Yeah.
was a last minute try from Gloucester. All I think like we just got too excited and like brains turned off. We were already celebrating. It was too close. I believe it was Mia Venner went over for Gloucester, right? That was like one hell of a game. We've had other games like that where we've come really close to winning. We've had, I think, two or three draws this season.
Yes.
Um, we tend to play at whatever level other teams are coming at us. We also have the fact that um, obviously we do have a lot of leavers. We've discussed this. I think we've got 11 leaving, 9 leaving, something like that. Um, a lot of those players were not played this weekend, just gone. We're also probably going to be without Lily Ives Campion. That looks like a really nasty injury.
Ooh.
That's huge for our line out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah. I
dear.
don't know if anybody caught it, but she went down and ended up at the bottom of a pile of like Marley Packer, Julia Agumbawale, and like three or four other players, and she was at the bottom just screaming, um, which
Oh.
clutching her knee.
Mm.
Yeah, it wasn't good. So I would be exceptionally surprised if she is playing this weekend. Um, and I didn't see her at the end of the game either.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. So we could have, so any of the players who are leaving, I'm not expecting them to necessarily play at the weekend, especially those who played on the Six Nations. I'm not expecting to see them, um, apart from maybe the likes of like Helen Nelson. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, it could be really interesting to see the team that we put out. The team we put out last weekend, our bench was not, it was there, it was a level against Saracens, it wasn't enough. Would
Mm.
it be enough against Tigers? I think so. Um, yeah, it could be really interesting. The one thing about Loughborough Lightning fans is that we're not always the loudest, so it could be interesting to see what happens when we travel. I will be there. Uh, but yeah, I'm a bit nervous, but I think I'm nervous before every game. So,
Yeah, I think I say with the free ticket offer as well, like, and I've spoken about this before, like I went to the men's East Mids derby earlier in the season at Leicester. I mean, obviously that is a different kettle of fish. Like you can't compare it. It's it's an awkward East Mids derby in the sense that it's kind of Northampton, but kind of isn't. But yeah, but it's still the derby in terms of like it is, it's Loughborough and everything like that. So
mm,
there's still that rivalry there. When you came on to speak about the away game earlier on in the season, like we spoke about how sort of physical and feisty that game was. So I think it'll definitely sort of have elements of spiciness in it as well. But yeah, I think it'd be really, really. I think it could be massive if we can get sort of a sizable-ish crowd in that stand,
mm,
supporting Tigers women. I think that could make a difference. You speak about sort of players fit from a Loughborough perspective, from a Tigers perspective. Farmer went off, I think, clutching her knee. Coleman went off quite early in the game. That's going to be two big absences if they're not fit for this weekend, particularly with Tigers' current unavailabilities as well in the pack. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see who is fit. And I think I do want to kind of go over the significance if Tigers can win this game, because this would be their first PWR victory in 470 days plus. Their last win was February the 15th, 2025 against Ealing. It'd be the first PWR victory this season, ending a losing streak of 15 matches this season and 20 matches in all competitions since February 2025. It would be their second only ever victory in the top flight at Mattingly Woods Welford Road, and it'd be their first ever home win against Loughborough Lightning. Obviously, they have beaten them twice away in all competitions. So that's kind of the stats perspective. But I also think like if Tigers do get over the line this season, this game, sorry, like the I can't really put into words sort of the emotional impact of that because I think the group is so incredibly tight and really admirable as to how they've gone through everything this season. They could have thrown the towel in. I don't think they have. Um, and they deserve nothing more than a win against Loughborough. I the the thing is, I think that even if Loughborough are off it, they do have the individual talent to rescue Tigers. And the thing with Tigers women is they don't sort of have the know-how of how to keep leads, of how to chase leads and return to the lead and stuff. So I don't think it changes a huge amount the results in terms of like where the program is heading in the direction. I just really hope from sort of again that emotional perspective of those players who have really been through the wars that they do get that win. But I think it's like I'm like 3.5 out of 10 confident. Like it's possible, but I still think we're probably looking at a Loughborough win here. Um,
I think we've got three incredibly dynamic ball carriers at Loughborough, in Hanalei Latui,
yes.
Sadia Kabea, and Alav Kelter. The
Mm,
three of them are elusive runners who are also exceptionally powerful. And I think, all three of them can create a try out of basically nothing. And then we've got Bo Westcombe Evans, who I'm assuming will be playing her last game at the weekend. I'd be really surprised if she isn't. I know I said, I'd be surprised if any of the leaving players, but the Scottish players, if they're playing at the weekend, I'd be surprised. But somebody like Bo Westcombe Evans, I'm assuming they're going to try and get her on for a last game. Again, I think she scored like 5 tries in one game earlier this season. It could be really interesting to see what happens there. So I think even if we put out a slightly weaker team to try and get, those props and more experience, you've still got Elev Kelter.
yeah.
Hopefully she doesn't, stamp on anyone. Live, laugh, Elev, love you. But
Yeah, I hope not. I hope not. I mean, I'm asking for a feisty derby, but no stamping,
we
please.
did have a fight this weekend, which was fun.
Did you?
Yeah.
What was the
Molly
what was
Packer got a yellow card.
finally?
Yeah. The
Uh
best part was is that Marley Packer got a yellow, and I don't even think it was actually Marley Packer's fault.
oh, you're joking.
No, I
The
think it
one
was Georgia Evans.
the one time she gets caught out, it's not even her fault.
I was like,
Uh
are we going to look at, because obviously it's TNT match. I was like, are we going to go to the TMO? And I don't think they did. I think they just sent Marley off.
mm. Oh well. Um yeah. I think I'm just hoping for sort of like a competitive game. And yeah, the last game, which obviously we spoke about, the away game, it was good. I think the a bit too much of a blowout, but if it's kind of similar, but Tigers score a bit more, we concede a bit less.
I feel like
Um,
that was the game where Bo Westcombe Evans went nuts.
maybe, maybe. All I remember is that we just spoke about Emily Henrich um, having one on her, and Tiana Gordon also had one on her that day. She was carrying superbly.
And
Um,
Emerson Allen in the lineout was phenomenal.
yes.
I remember that because I was like, who is this incredibly tall person?
And Hermione Farmer did like a big bumper on I think Leah Bredner Holder. It was the Saints scrum. It was the Loughborough scrum half. I don't know if it was
It was
uh
probably Leah.
yeah. Um so yeah, more of that this weekend. And yeah, should be a good occasion. And yeah, I think regardless of the result, I think the fans will be very, very proud of the resilience. And I think resilience is putting it lightly. Doesn't really do justice to the spirit of Tigers Women team. And yeah, even the ones that are going, I think, sort of deserve the utmost respect. And sort of thanks from the fans. I'm sure that the fans in attendance on the game on Sunday will be given that in droves. So yeah, looking forward to that. But yeah, should be a good game. I'm hoping it's a good game.
Yeah, it was the last time out that we played you. Boas come up and scored 4 tries. Just to wrap that in.
Yeah, she's not the only one this season. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I'm sure someone at Saracen's got like at least four or five. Um, yeah. Okay. Right. Thank you to Hattie for coming back on the pod. It is fantastic to have you on again. Um,
Mhm.
Next week on the pod, I will be doing a review of the Loughborough game, and uh, obviously, if there's any sort of more signings to come out, leavers list, etc., breaking down that as well. Um, so yeah, go on the Tigers this weekend. It should be a great occasion. And again, reminder, if you haven't already, you can get your tickets. If you are a men's season ticket holder, you do have a code to claim a free ticket from this game. If that is not working, do call the Tigers ticket office. They will sort it out for you. Do not fret. But yeah, thank you so much for coming back on the pod, Hattie.
Thank you for having me. Am I allowed to do a little plug?
Of course you are. Plug away.
Plug away. So it is the Rugby History Project's birthday this month.
Woo!
Turning 1. I know, very fun. So if you go to the Rugby History Project Instagram at the Rugby History Project, there is a birthday giveaway if anybody's interested in entering.
Yes, I will repost that as well on the
Thank you.
Fancast socials.
And you'll be entered in then, Jacob. That's how that works.
Great. More history stuff. Yay.
Yay!
Um, awesome. Fantastic. No, it was great to have you on. Thank you for the sort of the insight on the central contracts as well. It is a very interesting time, I think.
The
And
landscape is a changing.
it is really changing. Which is great. Like next
Yeah.
season, we're gonna have Gloucester Hartpury are not gonna be the all conquering force. They'll still be great, but they're gonna be without Zoe Stratford, and Stratford's a big one, but also sort of Tanya Hurd
I
and
think
Blottu
Tatiana
and
Hurd is going to be
Beckett.
the big one. I think that's what they're going to
Yeah.
miss.
Um yep, Sailor looking good. They're gonna build on it. Obviously Ealing qualified for the playoffs the first time this season. Um Tigers will probably be a lot more competitive than what they have been this season. They probably will still be only sort of picking up a couple of wins here and there, but it won't be blowouts. I'm predicting.
Mm.
Famously accurate when it comes to predictions, but I feel relatively
Both
okay
of
about this one.
us are known for being incredibly good at predictions.
That's why we talk about the past rather than the future.
Very true.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you to listening to this episode of the pod. Keep up your support on socials. This will also be going on YouTube, so do hit out for that on YouTube as well in the audio visual format. And yeah, stay tuned. We'll be back next week. Ciao.